What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Everybody, come on in. What's going on? How's everybody doing? Come on in. Hit the like button. Hit that like button, guys, as you guys come on in. Hit that like button. Leave a comment. Let me know you're in. Hey, Bernice, how you doing? Good evening to all of you all. What's going on, everybody? Here I am. Hi, Laura. Shout out to my mods. Laura is also my administrator here in StreamYard. So if you have any questions or I need to get my attention in case the comments are flowing, uh, give Laura a shout out and she will definitely give me one. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit the like button as you come in. Everybody speak to everybody. Everybody speak to everybody. Drop a comment. Say hello. As you all can see, I'm just being low key tonight. Just keep it honest and direct and low key. So still don't have a lighting, but I have a lamp. Plus, I just prefer to keep it low key. Sometimes you just gotta come on and be raw. Candace is wick. It's oh man, there's just no words. I did a live earlier today on my way to the doctor's office. I had to go to the hospital and you know, came home and I was like, I wanted to finish up this live stream from earlier today and actually play portions of the video and of course read the letter that Charlie Kirk had given to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. So I wanted to just kind of go over that and just give my thoughts and engage in conversation with you guys. And as you all can see, we're keeping it low key. So come on in, hit the like button. Everybody speak to everybody. Another struggle stream night. What does that mean? Who's struggling? Less stoner. Who's struggling? Who's struggling, man? What does that mean? there's things that people say. It's just weird. You guys perpetuating this nonsense from Umar. I mean, at the very least, be original and come up with something else on your own. Pushing his talking points is weird. Keep the comments respectful. Yeah, I know I handle the trolls. Jesus loves the trolls as well. God. But yes, we will keep it respectful. I rather the trolls come for me than to come for you guys or the supporters or the mods or anything like that. I know how to handle the trolls. Trolls are trolls. But yes, I expect respect in the chat when it comes to my mods and supporters here, and all guest viewers and anyone else. So I just wish they would come up with something else. They just repeat the same old thing. You do realize that whole struggle streamer thing gets old. And Umar's the one to talk about struggling here when he begs people for money every day. Every time he's on social media, he's begging for money. So either he doesn't understand the definition of the term struggle or his co-members don't. But either way, he's the struggler. It's called a job, Umar. Get a job. But we'll talk about Umar in a separate segment. Tonight, we're going to get into what's going on with Candace Owens. No, right? Same troll, different day. STDD. All right, you guys. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button. I'm just keeping it, casual and laid back. I haven't been feeling all too well today, so I'm just keep it calm. And my doctor's like, you need to stop the stress. So here we are. We're not stressing, but I am gonna say exactly what I feel and give my thoughts and honest opinion on this whole thing. I did a stream earlier today in the car, one of the car rides, and spoke about Candace blaming the military for the death of Charlie Kirk. And I have to say, it's an insult. It's an insult to our United States Armed Forces. She has no evidence to point to that. Like I said earlier, you know, she didn't even say what branch of military could possibly be, responsible. I mean, you have branches within the military itself, and she's just throwing spaghetti at the wall at this point, and it's it's getting disgusting. It's getting disgusting and disturbing. There are so many active duty members and veterans of the military, plus people who have, people in their family that are in the military. How do you go to connect the military to Charlie Kirk's death? And you can't even state the branch of military. You don't have any evidence or proof on it, and doesn't even care how it makes, you know, at least the remote patriotic person, American, offended. It's offensive. Hey, French, how you doing? Shout out to you. Hey, Noah King, what's going on? How you doing? It's so offensive. So I just wanted to. We're gonna check out her video, and I want to show you all the part where she says this nonsense. And we're not gonna play her whole stream because it's getting to a point where it's like, she's been talking about this every day for like what 2-3 weeks, and still produced zero evidence to really solidify any of her theories. She was talking about bees the other day, and I was just like, I just can't keep up. Now it's the military service. It's the military. What? Oh my God. Shout out to all of you guys. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. And I encourage you guys to watch other content on the channel as well, and to hit the like button in those videos, and to leave comments so we can get the content up in the algorithm, because these things need to be discussed. I did a video about the CIA logo thing and brought it in the law. And I'm just, people are willing to believe the salaciousness of things, but not the actual facts and the proof. And maybe I'm just old fashioned, but I believe in having some integrity with this. Whether your reach is 27,000 supporters or 5 million supporters like Candace, integrity means more than anything else. It should be vital and crucial to the foundation of your platform. Not one shred of evidence she's produced. And the sad part is people aren't, holding her accountable for that. They're not holding her feet to the fire and saying, you need to prove something like that. You can talk about bees and honeycombs and ants and wasps and whatever else you want to talk about. But when you talk about, the military having something to do with one civilian death that was on national television, what the hell? Like, where are we going with this? So, are we going to watch this? Laura said, I began watching Candace years ago. I trusted her. And a lot of people did. And some even do. But they are going from trusting her to do the research and to present facts, at least, to just full blown conspiratorial mode. I mean, she might as well be a blogger. What does she consider herself to be at this point? If you have zero evidence, zero facts, no documentation, and not just with Charlie Kirk, let's go back to the First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, when she said it was a fact that this woman was born a man with no scientific evidence. The definition of evidence has not changed simply because Candace said something. It's just getting so far out of reality. It's not even funny at this point. It's just, what the hell? Does she not understand who really, oversees the military here in the U.S.? I mean, how is this going to go, Candace? Are you going to make your way up to the president? Next thing you know, she'll be saying Trump is somehow involved. I mean, I don't feel that she has any barrier stopping her from going all the way there. I really think that if she continues on this path, she's going to insinuate the president is involved. I mean, good grief. It's like, when does this come to a point where, at the very least, if you have a option, or if you think or have an opinion on something, why is it not being based on facts right now? Why? It makes no sense. Everyone connected to this amazing show. Everybody speak to everybody and wasting her talent, beguiling Brigitte and Charlie. Exactly. She could be talking about any other topic that could get some real traction here. And this is what she wants to sit here and you know throw out her conspiracies on. When she started talking about bees and stuff like that, I was done. There's nothing wrong with homeschooling children. Now, I'm not gonna even go there on that because I really, as a mom, she can do what she wants. I mean, she wants to homeschool her children, whatever. No, that's not even an issue. The issue is this nonsense here where you're accusing the military with no evidence. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it, you guys. Make sure you guys hit the like button, come again, and engage in the chat. You know, Jesus loves the trolls as well, so I don't worry about the trolls. But I just we have to discuss this because this is getting to a point where it's just how are her supporters not sitting back saying, wait a minute, did she just insinuate the military? How are they not saying, no, you need to put some evidence behind that? Because if we so-called love our military, how do you allow that type of accusation to be thrown against our military? How does that happen? And you get content creators that will challenge her on things, but it's funny how we're demanded to present evidence and she's not. What? Ugh. All right, y'all. Put a one in the chat if you can see and hear. Let's get to it.
September 10th, 2025, and I was just heading back from Salt Lake to Blanding. I'm getting a very late start. It's about 11:30 at night, and I wanted to swing back by UVU campus where Charlie Kirk was killed today and see if I could let a few of the police officers know how much I appreciate the work they're doing, see if there's some college students here that I could rub shoulders with, more for my benefit than for theirs. But what I really wanted to share was I was very close this morning where Charlie Kirk was at, met him backstage, and we talked for a moment before he went on stage, and I was backstage as he started speaking, then decided to go up top, and I went up to the top, and ironically was very close to where the shooter was. Apparently, the shot was very loud, and I determined pretty quickly that whoever it was on the roof, and it was a 200-yard kill shot.
Where was he? I don't know. I find this to be a little weird, but look, let's be clear, by no means conclusive of anything other than perhaps a strange coincidence. And maybe this is why he feels so impassioned and wants to keep speaking about it. Also, he's a gubernatorial candidate. Makes sense. This would be a political moment to show that you're a leader. And look, life is not exactly.
Well, I mean, but let's stop right there. You asking where was he? If he was in the crowd, Candace, you weren't there. That's the first thing to keep in mind, people. Candace Owens was not there. So you're talking about someone that witnessed that firsthand, and it's almost as if you're questioning what they witnessed. We know what we saw and heard in this reality here on Earth, Candace. And the people who were there would have a firsthand account. I mean, you can see the videos of people who in the crowd, once the shot was heard, there was just this moment where people just kind of stood still, almost in disbelief, because they couldn't believe what they just heard. And then to see Charlie Kirk slump over, he's bleeding and all this stuff. All of that is traumatizing. That's hitting you all at once. It'll put people in a momentary shock mode where they're like, what just happened? And then in the videos, you see people kind of slowly looking towards that LC building where they perceive the shot to have come from. That's natural instincts. You don't just, you're talking about where was he? What if he was in the crowd? Obviously, if he was there, he did just like everyone else in the crowd did. People looked towards where that building was over 160 yards away because that's where they audibly heard the shot. What does this have to do with anything regarding a gubernatorial race or any of that? Just saying that makes it, politicized, if anything else. And then, the audacity for Candace to sit here and talk about someone, consistently talking about this when she's been doing this every day for 2+ weeks now. And she's making money off of it. I actually posted a video of another content creator that actually pulled up what she is projected to earn for the revenue from YouTube. She's looking at a 7-figure check. So what is her motive on consistently talking about this while no one knows if she was even in communication with him leading up to his passing? She definitely doesn't show any signs that she is, close to Erica Kirk, his wife, or that they were even friends or even, associates of any sort. She has not put up anything to show that she had a kinship of any sort with Erica Kirk. So, she's want to talk here.
An Agatha Christie novel, right?
Yeah.
Where the guilty party somehow inserts himself into the investigation. So I park that aside, I keep pushing, and I'm following more public leads. But also, I do recall in the back of my mind that both Phil and Tiffany Barker, and as it would turn out,
she follows public leads, but not the actual evidence or what the investigation has yielded. How do you vet these public leads, Candace? If you have all of this conspiracy nonsense running off, you're allowing people who are big on these conspiracy theories to take flight and overtake your platform. I get people email me all the time. I don't always go with everything that people throw my way. I have to vet it. I have to have it corroborated with actual evidence and facts. That keeps the integrity of what I do as an independent journalist at the forefront. She's just taking tips and stuff coming in, and who knows how, wacko some of these people may be. They're just flowing out conspiracy theories and they're emailing this stuff to her, and she's just taking them in, and it's like, it's like entertainment for her right now. It's so ridiculous.
Another person that lives on that street with the last name Shumway kept trying to get me to look into Governor Cox because he's, according to Tiffany, very supportive of the trans stuff. You should look into Tiffany said into Governor Cox. And similarly, the Shumway emails were like, you should look into this Governor Cox because he likes trans. So they're open and closed.
What?
That feels to me always just like fed bait, left versus right, right? He likes trans people, so it has to be him. Okay.
What does left or right have to do with any of this? What does left or right have anything to do with this at all? Y'all know how I feel. I'm A4 American here. When you stand before God on Judgment Day, he's not going to ask you if you were left or right. That's not going to be a question. God does not care about our politics. You're literally politicizing this, Candace, as you speak.
Speaking about it, also, he's a gubernatorial candidate. Makes sense. This would be a political moment to show that you're a leader. And look, life is not exactly an Agatha Christie novel, right? Where the guilty party somehow inserts himself into the investigation. So I park that aside, I keep pushing, and I'm following more public leads. But also, I do recall in the back of my mind that both Phil and Tiffany Barker, and as it would turn out, another person that lives on that street with the last name Shumway, kept trying to get me to look into Governor Cox because he's, according to Tiffany, very supportive of the trans stuff. You should look into Tiffany said into Governor Cox. And similarly, the Shumway emails were like, you should look into this Governor Cox because he likes trans. So they're open and closed. That feels to me always just like fed bait, left versus right, right? He likes trans people, so it has to be him. Okay. Oddly, look, I'm just following the facts here. Nothing in my investigation has made.
What facts? What facts? You're following the facts. You just said you following your leads, your tips. The public tips you coming into your email address. What facts? She has no proof that he likes trans. What facts? And what does that have to do with him recounting his experience and what he saw in person, firsthand account of the shooting? What does that have to do with anything? This is so wacko. It's not even funny.
Me ask a question further about Governor Cox on that day. Nothing came up organically, so I'm not going to push it just because he's a Democrat. And actually, where I was at this process, what's that? Oh, pushing that because Governor Cox is his, sorry, I said Democrat because he's his, he's warring with him. And that's the candidate that he wants to go after. And I actually start noticing as I'm looking into this further about Governor Cox on that day, nothing came up organically, so I'm not going to push it just because he's a Democrat. And actually, where I was at this process, what's that? Oh, pushing that because Governor Cox is his, sorry, I said Democrat because he's his, he's warring with him. And that's the candidate that he wants to go after. And I actually start noticing as I'm looking into this investigation.
What? Why am I confused? Is anyone else as confused as I am? The way this should be presented, you should not have to look up Governor Cox or any gubernatorial race or any. You shouldn't even have to look this stuff up to keep up with what she's saying right now. It should be very plain and simple, and the message should be clear into what she's saying. I should not have to go and research these people. What? Why even say he's a Democrat? Who cares? What does this have to do with Charlie Kirk shooting?
Tiffany said into Governor Cox, and similarly, the Shumway emails were like, you should look into this Governor Cox because he likes trans. So they're open and close. That feels to me always just like Fed bait, left versus right, right? He likes trans people, so it has to be him. Okay. Oddly, look, I'm just following the facts here. Nothing in my investigation has made me ask a question further about Governor Cox on that day. Nothing came up organically, so I'm not going to push it just because he's a Democrat. And actually, where I was at this process, what's that? Pushing that because Governor Cox is his, sorry, I said Democrat because he's his, he's warring with him. And that's the candidate that he wants to go after. And I actually start noticing as I'm looking into this investigation that everyone who was involved on that day, I mean, literally the person who spots the shooter on the roof, military, the person who says, I just happened to be in the right place in the Flag of Halls where I saw him running, also in the military. And I'm starting to think, is it possible that this is like a military hit? I don't know.
No, girl. No. You said you're following the facts. Okay. So which branch of military? Because that's something that can be factually proven. These two people being from the military. Are you serious? Maybe because they have training and experience in this is why they're probably speaking out a lot more. But you're forgetting the rest of the thousands of people that were out there that actually posted videos, Candace. People who were there and recorded it, posted videos. How do you know they were all in the military as well? You might as well just say everybody that saw it was in the military. What facts do you have? What evidence do you have to even insinuate a possible military hit on a civilian, on American soil, on national television, based on now her other conspiracy theory, because he was possibly, shifting his stance on Israel. What would the military have to do with that? This is outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. A military hit? You can't make this it's a German sarcasm. Oh my God. None of that stuff she's saying makes a bit of sense. What's going on, Ginger Spice? What's wrong with her? Is someone getting her some mental therapy? She needs some. Shout out to you. She's not making a damn bit of sense. Not at all. Not at all. A military hit? How did we get here to this point? The French will be next because she's being sued by them. It's funny. She didn't just start off by just blaming the French because they filed a lawsuit against her. The French president and the first lady filed a lawsuit against her. I'm shocked she did not just go straight for the French. The entire country of France is in on this because they sued me. Like, it's just so, you can't help but to laugh because if not, you're going to be angry. I'm trying to, woosah. She just said, possible military hit. Possible military hit. This is outrageous. Candace, I'm calling you out. You need to produce some evidence on that. You went from some governor to a trans thing to now, Democrat.
Pushing that because Governor Cox is his, sorry, I said Democrat because he's his, he's warring with him. And that's the candidate that he wants to go after. And I actually start noticing as I'm looking into this investigation that everyone who was involved on that day, I mean, literally the person who spots the shooter on the roof, military, the person who says, I just happened to be.
But the person that spotted him on the roof was not the only person that spotted him on the roof. Do you know how many other people spotted him on the roof? Do you know how many other people spotted Tyler Robinson running across the roof? Are you serious? you you have people who probably are, more trained to be able to spot certain things because of their military experience. Maybe it's because they were in the military that they were able to pay attention to certain things beyond the average person that was there, Candace. But he's not, that military person is not the only single person that spotted the Tyler Robinson running across the roof. I've been asking for the longest, how did the gun get on the roof? I don't think I've seen anything factually based that answers that question. But how do you go from something that is reasonable, if you're questioning, some loopholes in this, things that aren't making sense, that would be reasonable to the average person? How do you go from that to, is this a possible military hit? Or some governor who's a Democrat and something with trans? Like, Jesus, the bees. It's the bees. Yeah, let's not forget about the damn bees. Wow, my mind is blown. Just when you don't think she can get worse. I think the worst thing would be if she starts to insinuate Trump into all of this. And then you're going to really piss off his supporters like that. Because, girl, you're going down a whole rabbit hole. And she's just too far down to pull herself out of it.
In the right place in the Flag of Halls where I saw him running, also in the military. And I'm starting to think, is it possible that this is like a military hit? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. Next came a tip that you guys saw.
How would you find out? Like, okay, how would you start to get evidence on that? Yes, I'm being very nitpicky right now. I am pausing it because I want you all to see the words here on this. She's not an investigator. No one asked her to investigate it. Does she have every right to be concerned and question? Absolutely, just like anyone else. But who else is trying to insinuate the military here with this type of following, with her platform? It's one thing when you get a group of wackos sitting here just throwing out conspiracies. It's another thing where someone with 5 million supporters on YouTube alone says something knowing that what they say has a wider reach than anyone else who doesn't. She could get over 500,000 people in her live stream. And her voice, what she says, carries weight. That's what's so reckless about this. You're bringing up every little tip someone throws your way without vetting it.
Saying, as I'm looking into this investigation, that everyone who was involved on that day, I mean, literally the person who spots the shooter on the roof, military, the person who says, oh, I just happened to be in the right place in the Flag of Halls where I saw him running, also in the military. And I'm starting to think, is it possible that this is like a military hit? I don't know, but I'd like to find out.
What would enthuse you? What would enthuse you to think that the military would want to take a hit out on Charlie Kirk? What would enthuse you to think that? Yeah, and listen, shout out to all of you all here. I'm speaking on this. I don't care how many people are watching right now. I'm speaking on this because it must be done. It just must be done. How would you go about connecting dots and presenting factual evidence, documentation, any proof that this was a possible military hit? And what branch of military? She doesn't even know what branch of service these guys are. What branch of military are we talking about here? You realize it's you can't make this up. What? Marines, Army, Coast Guard, Air Force, Navy. Yeah. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. You're talking about Tyler Robinson fired this weapon that I'm still questioning how it got on the roof from over 160 yards away. That is a marksman. So if anything else, someone with military experience, perhaps a marksman, and just knowing what to look for in those types of situations, having that experience and training would be the ones that probably would, if they say what they observed, will carry a lot more weight because they have that training and experience. But how does that line up to it being a military hit? Oh,
out. Next came a tip that you guys saw me receive live on the show. A woman paid to say, Candace, there's more footage of the shooter on that day. And you should know that that shooter was with a woman, right? That's a tip that I've received, that woman, the shooter was with a woman, and he was seen changing clothes, and that they've cut out that footage. So I reach out to that individual, and the name that they give me for the house that this took place in, and I'm able to confirm that this property is nearby, is owned by Lyman Branch. So now I want to be clear, I could not attach whether or not yet this individual is related to Phil Lyman, but he's been honest about the fact that his family lives around there a lot. Like, the Steele Lyman clan is here. So I was a little bit on alert, maybe like a lot of bit on alert, and I decided to just do a basic search into Phil Lyman. Like, is his family in the military? I don't know. I'm asking the question to myself, and I'm quite...
How? Okay, so there you go. You don't know. How do you begin to link this to the military? And where is that video footage of this woman? Did she say the woman was paid to give her the tip? Is that what she's saying? Someone was paid to give her a tip? Is that what I just heard?
Wants to go after. And I actually start noticing as I'm looking into this investigation that everyone who was involved on that day, I mean, literally the person who spots the shooter on the roof, military, the person who says, oh, I just happened to be in the right place in the Flag of Halls where I saw him running, also in the military. And I'm starting to think, is it possible that this is like a military hit? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. Next came a tip that you guys saw me receive live on the show. A woman paid to say, Candace, there's more footage of the shooter.
Someone paid a woman to say, Candace, there's more footage of the shooter on that day. Someone paid her to say that? Why are you even bringing it up? If someone paid her to say it, what makes it credible? What makes that credible? Someone paid her to say that. That's all you need to see right here. She just said it. Here's the captions. You can't make this shit up.
And I'm starting to think, is it possible that this is like a military hit? I don't know, but I'd like to find out.
God.
Next came a tip that you guys saw me receive live on the show. A woman paid to say, Candace, there's more footage of the shooter on that day. And you should know that that shooter was with a woman, right? That's a tip that I've received, that woman, the shooter was with a woman, and he was seen changing clothes, and that they've cut out that footage. So I reach out to that individual, and the name that they give me for the house that this took place in, and I'm able to confirm that this property is nearby, is owned by Lyman Branch. So now I want to be clear, I could not attach whether or not yet this individual is related to Phil Lyman, but he's been honest about the fact that his family lives around there a lot. Like, the Steele Lyman clan is here.
The family lives around there a lot, or do they live there? I mean, if they live there, okay, so they live there. So do other families that live there. You're going to go down the street and go to all the neighbors and say, oh, this family lives here. Lyman family lives here. The Epsteins live here. The Watermans live over there. Okay, and so what? He lives there. How does this tie into the military? A possible hit with the military? And what footage was cut out?
So I was a little bit on alert, maybe like a lot of bit on alert, and I decided to just do a basic search into Phil Lyman. Like, is his family in the military? I don't know. I'm asking the question to myself, and I'm quite surprised that it's impossible for me to find out who his mother and father are. Like, I literally don't know what goes on in Utah, but it seems like a very weird thing to me that you would be able to keep information about who your mom and dad are private if you're running for governor, right? So I just simply...
Okay, but no. I mean, he's running for governor. What does his mother and father have to do with anything? They have the right to live and exist in peace. Why do you need to know who his parents are? If you're voting for someone for an elected position like a governor, what difference? I mean, why would their parents be relevant? What's relevant is their platform, the policies they want to, enact. How are they going to change the lives of those constituents that voted for them? That is what's more important. Why would you need to know about his parents? I'm sorry. I mean, and I can say this, oftentimes we as Americans and as human beings, we don't always research these candidates like we should. We go on what they say, and the hoopla behind it. Does it get you excited? Does it induce all these feelings and emotions and all this stuff? But the last thing you ask about, I wonder who their parents are. If anything, maybe they say or do something that makes them look like they're acting out of character, and then you sit back and was like, who raised this hoe? Who raised this person? They acted like a wild man. Who is parent? He didn't have no home training. Like that. That's the only time you're really going to think about the parents. When you're thinking about how someone was raised in their environment and how it shapes their, thought process and their actions, their words, how they carry themselves. That's the only time you're really going to think about someone running for a governor and their parents. Like that's the only scenarios where you think about their parents. How did they raise this individual? What morals and values, did they try to instill in this person that I'm, thinking about voting for? But that's about it. You're looking up this man's parents. Why? In an investigation where he's not a suspect at all. Phil Lyman is not a suspect, Candace. Why do you care about his parents? This is absurd. And now if his parents go and sue her ass, then what? Then he's bad guy again?
Is here. So I was a little bit on alert, maybe like a lot of bit on alert, and I decided to just do a basic search into Phil Lyman. Like, is his family in the military? I don't know. I'm asking the question to myself, and I'm quite surprised that it's impossible for me to find out who his mother and father are. Like, I literally don't know what goes on in Utah, but it seems like a very weird thing to me that you would be able to keep information about who your mom and dad are private if you're running for governor, right? So I just simply asked Nick. I haven't shared any of this with Nick because I know that he worked for Phil Lyman, and I'm not accusing Phil Lyman of anything. I'm just like trying to actually shut that down. And he says, I don't know who his mom and dad are. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Okay, weird, whatever. I then decide to keep pushing on military leads that I have, people that were on the ground that day who I've confirmed were in the military.
Military leads? What does that have to do with it being a military hit? You're saying that the entire military concocted some plan, or rogue individuals in the military, but not name the branch of service they, affiliated with, but whatever. Somehow concocted a plan to take out an American on American soil in front of national television, in front of everybody, in front of the people that were there, in front of his wife and kids. What the hell? What would be their reason? What evidence do you have to show there would be intent for them to do the entire military to do this? I would think our U.S. military has more pressing matters to attend to here. Why Charlie Kirk? She's not even asking herself, what reason could the military have to even be involved in that? Now she's talking about somebody's parents. That's a governor. Yeah, let me get some comments in. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hit the like button. Like I don't care how many people watching. This needs to be said because this is absurd. How she didn't let him give her that 17th COVID boost. Yeah, next. She went drug into before it's all over. Oh my man, she needs a friend. She needs to tend to her family. What's going on, RT? Shout out to my moms. Thank you so much for tuning in. Guys, make sure you hit the like button, engage in the chat. It's all right. Speak to everybody, engage in the chat because I know I can't be the only one disturbed by what I'm hearing. Ginger Spice, what's going on? I'm shocked she hasn't been shut down at this point. I don't get it. Me either. ABCD, how you doing? Candace implies Trump's involvement because she says he's run by the Zionists. The B thing. Oh my goodness. I mean, does she really want to ruffle his feathers on this? Aren't the people who support her Trump supporters as well? None of them caught that? This is so crazy. RT say, French said, when there was an attempt against Trump, people saw the guy climbing to the rooftop freely. Okay, she's the rabbit. RTs, everybody speak to everybody. Right, the facts can stand alone. Exactly. Just get the facts. Is that what you call clickbait? Hey, it could be. I think Candace is trolling all of us at this point. She's trolling us. And she's getting more and more followers as she trolls the entire country at this point with her buffoonery. Yeah, I thought it was bad when she did that 8-part series where she still did not prove scientifically that Brigitte Macron was born a man. But now you're talking about the death of someone that was televised, that was on national television, all over the news. Thousands of people witnessed it firsthand. And now she wants to insinuate the military put out a possible hit against a civilian. One civilian of all the people. Why Charlie Kirk again? And let's not forget, she tried to steer it towards the Israeli prime minister. So why would our U.S. armed forces be connected or involved with something like this where you're saying that this has something to do with his views on Israel? What would our military have to do with anything like that? And of course, still haven't named the branch. Yes, she has millions of followers, or had. She has over 5 million. And she worked for Walt Disney. If she starts naming, if it was the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, they're going to have to do something with her. They're going to have to. Because you get, the military service involved in something like this. And now they got to clear their good name because of Candace Owens. She's learned nothing from being sued for defamation. Candace, you haven't learned a damn thing from being sued for defamation by a whole country leader. You're already in court. And how do you all think this is going to make her look in court? When they get through establishing the grounds of character here, they're going to be able to show, Your Honor, this isn't the only time Candace Owens has had the propensity to lie to anyone. She does this often. Look at how she's insinuating our U.S. military being involved in the hit of a civilian named Charlie Kirk. Very tragic event. And she's sitting here either insinuating something about the Israeli prime minister or our U.S. armed forces. This is going to make her look like garbage in court. And you know what? Whatever. Candace, if that's what it takes, then that's what's going to happen. You realize that the Macrons and their attorney can use this video to shape character development, to show a pattern of behavior on how you're willing to lie about anything. Because like you said, I don't like little lies. Little lies. It's the little lies that build up to a conglomerate of a beehive of lies. That beehive comes together in the cocoon nest. And then all these lies just start making honey. The bees, all the little worker bee lies start making honey and pollinating, and then where we're going to be, because bees are important. All these bee lies are going to start pollinating, making honey. And that next thing you know, we'll be eating honey filled with lies. I mean, what? You can't make this shit up. She could be a dangerous society if some of her followers believe everything she say. Some of them do. That's what makes her so dangerous. It's not what she says. It's about the weight that her words carry. It is about what she says. Let me correct that. It is about what she says. But what's even worse is the weight that her words carry and her influence. Because I can't give an account for 27,850 people in the Lady Luck Club. The only thing I can do is be responsible with what I say. And if I challenge you all to go out and read and research for yourselves, that is done in a healthy manner. She doesn't know 5 million people. She doesn't know most of them people. So she has no idea what they're willing to go out and do in the name of Candace Owens, or because Candace Owens said something, so it must be true. She challenges them to send tips, but not to fact check her. So you have 5 million supporters that are scared to fact check her. They're scared to ask questions to say, can you produce evidence? Hold her accountable. Hold her responsible for what she's saying. They're afraid to do it because they allow her to continue down this rabbit hole. And they don't ever ask questions that they need to be asking here. It's so crazy. And I mean, it's right on point, French. There lies the danger. What if you have people go out and do something to active duty and veterans, because something that Candace Owens said triggered these people, and now they're out trying to hound and take down people in the military. No different than people who are Jewish, when she was sitting here insinuating this is Israel's doing. Basically just I believe Israel has something to do with it. They're not being honest. He's getting on the prime minister is getting on TV, and why does he keep denying he has affiliation? He said it twice. Because you keep accusing him of it. He needs to go and debunk you every time you say it. I don't care if it's 5,000 times he has to do it. If you keep insinuating him, he has the obligation to go and correct the record, Candace. This is why you're in court. This is why she's in court. This nonsense right here. So if she needs to learn the hard way, she will learn the hard way. And this video will be played in court. Y'all look how dishonest and just disingenuous she is when it comes to the depth of her, what she claims to be her close friend. And look how she's handling this. It's ridiculous. Ginger Spice said, how come we haven't heard from that other woman who said she said? She is literally insane. Exactly. All she needs right now is a Mickey Mouse hat. Who said he is trying to conceal his parents? What is she on? Where is her team and husband to snatch her offline? Exactly. I mean, I get some of those comments like, where's her husband at? George Farmer needs to step in and say, you know what, babe? I don't know if we should continue on this path with this, investigation. Or can we talk about something else? Is there nothing else you have to discuss? And I think it's only befitting that we change the topic. He has to feel some type of way about this obsession she has over Charlie Kirk right now. And she barely talks about her own husband. This is crazy. Jake Tapper from CNN describes Candace so well. She's mental. She is. It's like she's using this, the death of Charlie Kirk, as some sort of distraction from, many other things, to include this lawsuit. And yet she's handling this whole situation with his death and the investigation the same way she handled the issue with Brigitte Macron and that lawsuit. It's the same thing with her, just a different topic, same pattern of behavior, different subject. And her 5 million base of subscribers they're not going to give her pushback here. They're not going to say, you're doing the same thing you were doing with the Macrons here. You're just throwing out stuff. And I mean, what's next? An 8-part series on how it's a possible military hit and everybody else's fault? I mean, good grief. Y'all, we're going to finish out, then we're going to get to this letter. Because,
anyways, then something insane happens. Nick calls me, and he's a little bit undone. He tells me that Phil Lyman has just showed up at his house. Now, I want to be very clear. Nick is 20 years old. He's a 20-year-old UVU student and a major super fan of Phil as of 48 hours ago. And he's very uncomfortable. And he tells me that Phil randomly messaged him saying that he was nearby in town, and asked, not accusing Phil Lyman of anything. I'm just like trying to actually shut that down, is here. So I was a little bit on alert, maybe like a lot of bit on alert. And I decided to just do a basic search into Phil Lyman. Like, is his family in the military? I don't know. I'm asking the question to myself. Pushing that because Governor Cox is his, sorry, I said Democrat, because he's his, he's warring with him. And that's the candidate that he wants to go after. And I actually start noticing, as I'm looking into this investigation, that everyone who was involved on that day, I mean, literally the person who spots the shooter on the roof, military, the person who says, I just happened to be in the right place in the Flag of Halls where I saw him running, also in the military. And I'm starting to think, is it possible that this is like a military hit? I don't know, but I'd like to find out. Next came a tip that you guys saw me receive live on the show. A woman paid to say, Candace, there's more footage of the shooter on that day.
Who paid the woman, Candace? Did you pay this woman to say this? It's mighty funny how she just says that so casually. Like, someone paid a woman to say, what? Okay, then how do you deem it credible? How do you vet this? Once again, this is a realistic question. How do you vet all these tips coming in about this, the video, and it's a possible military hit? How are you vetting all these tips coming to your email? if you're able to say that someone paid this woman to say something, why would you take that and share that on your platform as opposed to trying to vet it to see what the intent is? This woman has been paid to say this. How can we deem this to be credible? There's more footage of the shooter that day. Okay.
And you should know that that shooter was with a woman, right? That's a tip that I've seen, that woman, the shooter was with a woman, and he was seen changing clothes, and that they've cut out that footage. So
okay, so where's the footage that was cut out? Because obviously that's insinuating there is a video that was given to the FBI, law enforcement, and she's saying, insinuating that the FBI or the law enforcement cut out that footage, because she's not saying who else could have cut the footage. Where's the original footage, Candace? If this woman is being said, paid to tell you things in real time, how is it credible? And where is the original footage? How would she know that the footage was cut unless she had the original? Do you all see why it's hard to believe this nonsense? If that be the case, where's the original footage, Candace? What's going on, Jeff? Shout out to my moms. Thank you so much. Y'all hit that like button as you come in. She is hard to listen to, dear God. I know. This is the part that I just wanted to play again, because this speaks volumes about the information that she's bringing in and presenting to 5 million people on YouTube. Someone paid a woman to say there's video footage where somebody's walking with a woman and that footage was cut out. Why didn't you play the original footage then, Candace? Where's the footage? I challenge her supporters to ask her for the original footage. Just play it. I'm gonna see if she ever plays that footage. Yeah, no, she doesn't play that footage at all. Nope. She doesn't play the footage. So where's the original footage, Candace? Where's that footage where somebody's walking with a woman? You said someone was paid to say something. Normally, you don't say things like that because it invalidates the credibility of the tip that you're receiving. Because she's only saying it because someone paid her to say it. So where's the footage? This is so insane. It's insane. So, I just want you all to see. This is how you debunk people in real time when they're lying like hell. Candace hasn't shown any evidence of any sort to support this stuff. It makes no sense. And I want to go to this other video here. This is from Chicks on the Right. I think they did a great job of breaking it down. Now, Jay Witt podcast, Jay Witt, my brother in Christ, shout out to him. He actually recorded the letter that Charlie Kirk sent to the Israeli prime minister. And I'm going to put that link in the chat so you guys can see. We'll pull up the video. But I just want to gauge what the chicks on the right, I just want to show you all what they had to say, and how even other conservatives, Republicans, people on the right, however you all want to phrase that, because I'm just A4 American here, but I just want you all to see how others are, reporting on this and saying the same thing anyone else would say. And I'm like, why? How is it that 5 million other people aren't getting this? So, oh man, yeah, this is something else. But I want to play just portions of their video on. They're basically like, okay, now Candace Owens lies exposed by Charlie Kirk's letter to Netanyahu. Oh my God! So I'm not the only one. Jay Wick, we're not alone, bro. We're not alone in this. Shout out to you, Candace. Thank you so much for tuning in, my fantastic mods. The only thing she plays is the role of a fool. Exactly. Good child. And there's the link to Jay Wick podcast. We'll pull up the letter, but I just want to play this segment because I thought they did a great job on, calling her out.
There is no truth to the way that Candace positioned this letter. And just a reminder, if you forgot how she positioned this letter, here's a little montage of her doing just that.
So there definitely is a little bit more to the story. First and foremost, that letter he is holding up, he is severely misrepresenting. Those sentences are real, but I am calling upon Bibi Netanyahu, the dear friend to Charlie Kirk, to publish the letter's entire contents. Like, don't start with just 2 sentences. Publish the entire thing. You're holding it. I'm saying you're severely misrepresenting the contents, that in May, Charlie was concerned about Israel and their influence on American politics and how they were pushing things that he felt were in conflict with his beliefs, free speech. Here in America.
She said lie.
Bibi's holding it up like Charlie just in May said, hey, you know what? I just want to write a love letter to Israel. That's how it was presented. Would you guys agree? That's not how it happened. Let's stop saying how Charlie felt. And instead, if you're going to hold up the letter, release it in its entirety. Okay. And lies by severe omission, I'd like to be very clear, are lies. Does anybody want to jump in and say, no, the letter Charlie wrote him. And
y'all see this montage of days of video footage of her reporting on this and just throwing out boneheaded conspiracy theories with no evidence whatsoever. This is Chicks on the Right. Let me drop the link to the video here, because like I said, we're going to pull up the actual letter from Jay Witt podcast, but I just, want you guys to see that you got so many people debunking her in real time. It's not even funny. In real time. All right, let's get back to it, because the lady at the top, I don't know their names. The channel is called Chicks on the Right. I don't know their names or anything. I just saw the video. I heard a good portion of it, and I was like, this is well said. And it's different when it comes from, other supporters that she, that are also conservatives, because truth is truth. Facts are facts, laws are laws, and laws don't care about your feelings. Like it doesn't make sense for her to be doing this. And multiple people are calling her out on.
Let's stop saying how Charlie felt. And instead, if you're going to hold up the letter, release it in its entirety. Okay. And lies by severe omission, I'd like to be very clear, are lies. Does anybody want to jump in and say, no, the letter Charlie wrote him in May was just like a glowing, he just was overcome with passion and said, I love Israel. You guys are amazing. You're beautiful. We're going to win this thing and you're perfect and doing nothing wrong. Love you, Bibi. Homie very quickly told us that Charlie was penning love letters to him in May. I just find that weird that no one wants to address the substance of the claims here, whether or not maybe Bill himself has an opinion on whether Bibi lied by severe omission when he mentioned his last correspondences with Charlie. And you're doubling down on your lie. I told you to publish the full letter that Charlie wrote you, not lines of it. Okay. So lied by omission, doing Fox News and Greta Van Sustern's show.
Unbelievable.
He lied about the contents of a letter that Charlie Kirk had written him. Can anybody actually work and assert that I am lying? You can say my name. Candace Owens lied.
Oh my God. Candace Owens lied about this being a possible military hit. I'm saying it, Candace. You lied. You lied about Brigitte Macron being born a man. You lied. And you're more nervous about that lawsuit than anything else. You don't seem to be concerned at all about Charlie Kirk's death, because you would not be saying half of the dumb shit you're saying right now. They have a montage of her trying to still insinuate lies by omission, a concept that she herself does not follow. The hypocrisy, it's the hypocrisy for me, Candace. The little lies that add up to form those bigger lies, and that honey beehive cluster of lies that's producing honey somehow. Your lies are dripping with honey from the bees.
And there's tweets that also correspond. She says it's 100% true that Charlie opposed war with Iran and was fighting with his donors over Israel, as Tucker just shared on Meghan's show. This is why I am discomforted by the intentional lie by omission that Bibi told on Fox News about the letter Charlie wrote him. Bibi lied about the contents of the letter Charlie wrote him in May. It was a lie by severe omission. It isn't sitting right with me. He held the letter in his hand and propagandized it. He should publish the entire thing. Well,
he did.
Well, what's so crazy? She never said specifically what the Israeli prime minister lied about.
It's out.
He didn't have to publish the entire thing. It was a letter to him. So he had no obligation to do so. And he did.
Exactly.
He did. And it's actually it's a lovely letter, and it's chocked full of stuff. So I encourage everybody to read it. We encourage everybody to read it. But she can apologize? No.
Well, I'm waiting.
No, she will not. She will not apologize. And does Macron's wife have a penis? I still am waiting for that.
Still waiting.
Still waiting.
Still waiting.
Yep.
So
see, you can see how just reasonable request for evidence. That's it. She continues to say he lied by omission, but she doesn't specifically say what he lied about. She just gives these blanket accusations, possible military hit. What branch of military, Candace? Let's start with that. Like, no evidence to support what she's saying. It's just madness at this point. It's madness. And here's this Jay Witt. He posted the letter. I'm gonna read it because that's why we're here. I'm gonna read the letter. I'm gonna read it because Candace lied. She's talking about lies by omission and can't say what exactly, specifically, the Israeli prime minister lied about. When we are pointing out blatant lies she's telling with no evidence to support it. Where's that footage that was cut off, Candace, of some man walking with a woman? Oh, God. Let's get to the letter. So Jay Witt pulls up the, I guess this is on X, Twitter, whatever. And then he pulls up the letter. So I just want to get to this letter here. And I am going to read it. I don't have the PDF of this. Maybe it's out. I could just show the whole letter. Hold on a second. I'm just going to see if I can just pull up the letter. Okay. It's got to be a PDF of it. He didn't have to, like the chicks on the right said, he did not have to pull up the letter. He didn't have to post it. This was communication that Charlie wrote to, the Israeli prime minister that he could have kept confidential. But he chose to pull it up. Okay. Because, I'm sure, like many of us, he's sick of Candace lying about, things that is unnecessary. Why doesn't she have a copy of the letter? Can we, get something on that? Why does Candace not have a copy of that letter herself? This is why people say that she was not as close to Charlie Kirk as she claims to be. Because wouldn't she have a copy of this letter? You got your closest friend sending a letter to Netanyahu, to the Israeli prime minister, to a leader of another country, and you don't have a copy of the letter? You don't have it at all? So, that goes to show maybe they weren't that close. I'm trying to pull up the link of I just want the letter itself. I want the PDF file of this, and I'm trying to get it, you guys. Bear with me one moment. I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. And while I'm looking for this, make sure you hit the like button and leave your comments below. Subscribe to the Lady Luck Club. Y'all, I really wanted to hit 30,000 supporters by today, but we're going to continue on with the push. All I can do is keep pushing out great content, and hopefully more people are willing to hear the truth of certain things here, because you get all your information from one person. Yeah, it does create this narrow-mindedness. And of course, it's harder to, reveal the truth or accept the truth when you're only getting your information from one person. So I'm trying to pull it up. I don't know where this link is taking me everywhere. Oh, Lord. It's supposed to be on Newsweek. Hold on, let me see if goodness gracious. I just need the PDF version of it. Okay. Hold on a second. I see the New York Post has it. Okay. All right, I got it here. So we're gonna read this. All right, because I just, it's only right just to do the due diligence of it all. So if you guys can see it, let me know. I just want to make sure that it's clear. All right, cool. Hey, Candace says she's scheduling. Hey, listen, I understand. I got kids myself, work during the day. You got to do what you got to do. But yeah, let's read this letter because Candace Owens is lying like hell. So it says here, I'm gonna make sure this is the full letter here on Scribd, and let me copy and paste this link in the chat so you guys can see this. You can pull it up and read it for yourself here because we believe in, facts and documentation. All right. Dear Prime Minister, okay, from the desk of Charlie Kirk, okay. Dear Mr. Prime Minister, one of my greatest joys as a Christian is advocating for Israel and forming alliances with the Jews in the fight to protect Judeo-Christian civilization. Most recently, I am proud to have taken over Ambassador Huckabee's show on TBN, where we continually support Israel and the Jewish people as Mohammedanism spreads into Western societies. It's critical that Jews and Christians stay united in the effort to contain and roll back radical Islam and Sharia law. I regret to report that anti-Israel and anti-Semitic trends are at record levels on social media. These negative sentiments then flow downstream into college campuses and even seep into the conservative MAGA community. My team and I have spent months analyzing these trends and debating ideas that could help you and your country push back against these disturbing developments. Anti-Israel sentiment can undermine American support for Israel. The purpose of this letter is to lay out our concerns and outline potential remedies. We're saying that he just, vehemently denied the war. And I don't think anybody wants war. I mean, let's be honest here. No one wants a war, especially when countries have nuclear power. No one wants a war because it would end the freaking planet. All of humanity will be wiped out. Just one nuke of a nuclear weapon that's powerful enough to take out, whole countries or at least half of a country would be enough to do a lot of damage worldwide. So no one wants a war at all. Everything written here is from a place of deep love for Israel. Deep love for Israel and the Jewish people. I think it's important to be brutally honest with those you love. He's being brutally honest. In my opinion, Israel is losing the information war and needs a communications intervention. I started to compose this letter to you on Easter. I should have been focused on my family, but I was getting bombarded with messages about the Israeli army making it difficult for Christians to access church in Jerusalem on Easter. At the time, I did not see any official statements pushing back on this narrative. It was frustrating because pro-Israel surrogates like me should not be in charge of fact-checking every piece of anti-Israel misinformation that pours into social media. It wasn't just Easter. On my recent campus tours, half the questions I get are about Israel, and they're all negative. I often spend half my time on these campuses, on these campus tours, defending Jews and Israel, which I'm proud to do because I love Israel and love the Jewish faith. I spent endless hours with Dennis Prager over the years studying the Torah. Okay. Sometimes it feels like I'm defending Israel in public more than your own government, which is a truthful statement. And this is coming from someone that loved Israel and was pro-Israel now. Keep that in mind. My experience on college campuses matches a recent Harvard-Harris poll, which reported 48% of 18 to 24-year-old Americans support Hamas over Israel. Even in young MAGA circles, Israel is losing support. Y'all, this letter is something else. It's Johnny Bun Express. Yeah, it's this song here. All right. So it makes sure I hit the like button as you're coming in. We're reading this damn letter today. Even in young MAGA circles, Israel is losing support. We're getting huge crowds of 4,000 to 5,000 students on some of my college tours. My campus visits are becoming like a rock concert atmosphere filled with conservative patriots. Yet, on these campus visits, I'm constantly confronted with, and then he goes down to the things that he's asked. Israel is an apartheid state. Why does Israel conduct ethnic cleansing? Why is America subsidizing Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people? Is American aid helping to subsidize Israel's free healthcare? Israel and the Jews are running U.S. foreign policy. Israel and Jews are responsible for 9/11. Defending Israel is not in our U.S. national interest. Why is Israel trying to drag us into a war in the Middle East? I mean, this is a question that people have been asking for the ages, okay? I've even said the same thing myself. And I think when Trump said, he dropped the F-bomb saying, neither side know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, because Israel had also launched, some missiles or whatnot. And he had already told the president, Trump, that he would not be doing it. Netanyahu agreed to a ceasefire of some sort. And then he went against that. But once Trump made it known that, neither side know what the fuck they're doing, I don't think they've done it. I don't know. I heard, I read something the other day that there was something else going on. It's insane. But I mean, it's a reasonable question. Why are we being dragged into this? Above are just a sampling of the negative Israel/Jewish comments and questions I confront on college campuses. I'm accused of being a paid apologist for Israel when I defend her. However, if I don't defend Israel strongly enough, I'm accused of being anti-Semitic. So he feels like he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, which is understandable. I know you've got a 7-front war, and my kvetching pales. Am I saying that right? Kvetching pales in comparison. Yeah, listen, we all learn something new every day. But I'm trying to convey to you that Israel is losing support even in conservative circles. This should be a 5-alarm fire. I'm often asked, why is Israel killing so many innocent civilians in Gaza? I know Israel goes to great lengths by dropping flyers and even calling civilians to clear out of areas about to be bombed. I know Israel posts maps showing which areas should be evacuated. I know that Hamas uses civilians as human shields, but 90% of the younger generations get their news from social media and podcasts, and there is very little pushback or fact-checking by the Israeli government and or pro-Israel supporters in the media, especially social media. I strongly suggest Israel not always depend on subcontracting their information war efforts to surrogates in America. So basically, don't use American social media podcasters and anything to tell the narrative of what's going on or tell the truth of what's going on in your own country. Mr. Prime Minister, I urge you to revamp your information warfare strategy from top to bottom. Sometimes the impression is given that Israel thinks everyone hates them, so why care about winning over hearts and minds? If there's any truth to this impression, I urge you to consider the social media and podcasts is where you fight for the hearts and minds of the younger generation. Because yes, they are all on social media. Obviously, all this negative Israel propaganda on social media easily translates into pro-Hamas, free Palestine sentiment on many college campuses. Here are some unsolicited recommendations my team and I suggest if you're open-minded to a communications reset. For starters, you need a rapid response media team. Trump does this very effectively on social media with his own account and his White House Rapid Response 47 team. Whether you guys are, political or not, I'm just reading the letter because Candace lied about it. That's it. I'm not here to sway anyone's political views or anything or their stance on Israel or, Palestine. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just reading the letter because Candace lied about it. So the president has strong fighters like Stephen Miller and Carolyn Levitt. I don't know who that is, who battle the press every day. Honestly, I don't even know if you have a press secretary. You are an eloquent defender of Israel, but you need a team of information warriors out there pushing back every day. In real time, when you don't push back, anti-Semitism and anti-Israel propaganda fill the void. A pro-Israel friend recently asked me, do Israelis even care how the world perceives their country? 2, I strongly recommend putting together a team of pro-Israel experts who can fact-check misinformation in real time from Israel, not the U.S. Israel needs to take the lead in this effort. No more dependence on subcontractors. That's the brutal truth. Israel never asked for American troops because Israel does its own fighting. I suggest the same approach for the information war. I mean, Israel did ask the U.S. to launch a missile. That did happen. And then when they were, when they said they would do a ceasefire, they didn't follow that. So to each his own with that. You lead, and people like me will follow and provide supplemental support. If you're open to revamping your communication strategy, my team and I are happy to assist. 3, you need something perhaps like an Israel Truth Network of some sort. He's just recommending some sort of a government news station of some sort, which can include social media channels and a one-stop source of info website where, for example, all the negative Israel questions I get can be thoroughly debunked. I would love to refer students to such a website. This website could also be a conduit to groups like Hillel and Jewish educators like Dennis Prager. There can be links to books, podcasts, media personalities, and pro-Israel thought leaders. The website can be a place where Judeo-Christian leaders and groups can share information and form closer alliances in the fight against Islamic fundamentalism. ITN social media can post pro-Israel, pro-Judeo-Christian video clips, breaking news, and articles. ITN could potentially be a news aggregation site for all news pertaining to Israel and Judeo-Christian efforts to preserve Western civilization. Here's my thought on that. If you go do something like that, it ends up being one-sided. That's the only thing. So, to me, when it comes to independent journalism and news and reporting, it needs to be fair and balanced. That's my thoughts on that. Having something that's fair and balanced, it makes a difference. Because if not, you're only getting, information from one side. Now, maybe that's what, I can't speak for any conservative whatsoever, but maybe that's what they want to see, just decide from coming from Israel, but you can't force people to accept both sides. But I believe in being, neutral and impartial to things, and I have to hear information from both sides. Have you considered inviting some of the released hostages to go on a speaking tour in the U.S.? This could be very effective messaging. These hostages can talk about how Gazan civilians not once offered any empathy or compassion. Trump referenced this lack of humanity when some released hostages visited the Oval Office. This was effective messaging. When impactful messaging clicks, keep it going. Also, these hostages and all your spokespersons should be arguing is Hamas is committing genocide on their own people by using civilians as human shields and storing weapons in schools, hospitals, etc. That info drips out in the regular media, but is almost non-existent on social media. Okay, so I'm not hearing Charlie Kirk say anything about him not supporting Israel. So far, I haven't read anything like that. If nothing else, he's giving him a roadmap on how to funnel information into one conglomerate. But I think it's left up to the viewers and those that are listening to hear both sides of the story, to get news from different sources, different, social media sites and podcasters to do that. And then you make your own decision with the information you have. Not saying that it should just be one person. It just get the information and then you make your own decision. That leaves people free to determine what they want to believe and what they want to support. Maybe interview regular Israelis on the streets, asking them what they love about their country. Not a bad idea. Interview Jews, Israeli Arabs, Druze, Orthodox, secular, etc. Ask Israelis what they do wish the world knew about Israel. Ask them to respond to examples of misinformation on social media. This could be an entire social media PR campaign called Dude, You Got Us Wrong. Interview Israelis from all walks of life. Let Israelis explain in their own words how Israel is a pluralistic society, a free country with elected leaders, unlike all of the surrounding authoritarian Arab nations. Why not show how your hospitals take care of wounded terrorists? That's an interesting idea. Why not show how your hospitals take care of wounded terrorists? Why not show clips of Israel dropping flyers from airplanes warning Gazan civilians to get out of harm's way? It would have been nice to see an Israeli plane with the Star of David arrive in the U.S. full of supplies after a hurricane. Okay, that's good. So he's also saying, just as much as we support you all, y'all need to reciprocate. and support us right back. When we have natural disasters over here, whether you think we can just afford to do it on our own or not, the whole point is this relationship between America and Israel should be reciprocal. It should be a two-way street. So even if it comes down to aiding in natural disasters, you guys can send, support over here as well. Because they're not broke. Israel has money. So why not help us here in the U.S. when we're sending aid to you all? Reciprocate it. So that's a good idea. I agree with that. Has Israel offered any assistance to the U.S. insofar as technology to protect our border or with the missile defense shield Trump has discussed? These are examples of effective messaging showing Israel as a close ally of America and not it being a one-way street. So I get that. Consumers of social media are aware of the billions in supplies we send to Israel, but they're less aware of what America gets in return. You and your team need to make the argument on social media that Israel is a great friend of America and is vital to U.S. national security. Israel needs to better portray itself as a member of Team Humanity. Team Humanity. Because no one wants to hear about wars where people who are innocent civilians being, slaughtered. I mean, of course no one wants that. Israel needs to establish a baseline of her identity. To run an effective messaging campaign, you need a clearly defined message. This message should be homegrown from Israel. In other words, create original content from Israel. Videos and visuals feed social media. Keep these edited clips short, under 1 minute, and post the best videos on the Israel Truth Network. Don't rely on non-Israeli social media influencers to create all these clips. Create them yourselves, and influencers, surrogates like me can promote this original work and refer people to your social media and websites. Be proactive. Take the lead, especially if it concerns your country. Bottom line is Israel needs to learn to fish. Create your own content and be more self-reliant when it comes to your communication strategy. I agree with this. Israel needs to take the lead. They need to, show that they're reciprocating aid and assistance to the U.S. Step up, right? The U.S. can be a good leader if we're doing the right thing, but we need to also make sure that any country we're allies with needs to be reciprocating the support. All right, number 6, when it comes to Iran, Israel could do a better job explaining the Iranian threat. Among the many conservatives who support Israel, there's concern that America could be entangled in a quagmire in Iran. My generation grew up with disasters in Afghanistan and Iraq. We were promised there were WMDs in Iraq, which proved to be a lie. So I'm glad he recognized that. Our generation was also lied to by the governments of Israel and the U.S. that COVID vaccines were safe and effective. I didn't die from it, so okay. Israel intelligence missed the boat on October 7th, but we're asked to trust Israeli intelligence 100% that Iran is on the cusp of obtaining nuclear weapons. Young conservatives are very skeptical of government proclamations. We don't fully trust intelligence assessments. Right now, it seems like Israel is primarily relying on Americans to make the case for attacking Iranian nuclear sites. These arguments get a lot of blowback in MAGA circles. In MAGA circles. Other than you, Mr. Prime Minister, I see very few Israelis making their case in the media, social media, or podcasts. Many agree with you, myself included, that Iran should not get nuclear weapons. At the same time, I share the concern that America will get sucked into another endless war, costing thousands of American lives. Now, here's where the idea of him not supporting a war comes into play. But that can be said about any country. So I don't think this had anything to do with Charlie Kirk's losing support and becoming less and less pro-Israel. He still had support for Israel, but he told the truth. We don't want to get sucked into another endless war. We just don't. So to that extent, I mean, this is how many people feel. This is the sentiment of anyone, any human being. I don't care about right or left or Democrat or Republican. Any human being can say they do not want to get sucked into an endless war, costing thousands of American lives or dollars. to be honest. Where are the Israelis who are arguing their case to win over public opinion? Israel should be making its case 24/7 on social media, including long form, English speaking podcasts and social media channels and websites such as the Rapid Response Team and ITN. A paradigm shift is needed in how Israel presents itself to the world, especially on social media. Perhaps the best way to convey my thoughts here is to think of Israel as a political candidate. In this case, a younger woman who grew up on social media. Who is this candidate and what does she stand for? Right now, there's essentially a massive negative ad campaign spreading on social media. These negative ads are defining this candidate. Political campaigns face this challenge all the time. Many of the PR challenges Israel faces should be looked at through the prism of a political campaign. Like any campaign, the first task is to define the candidate. Right now, there is not a one-stop shopping resource where younger people can learn about this candidate. Every candidate has a website and social media. It would be political malpractice to omit these tools. Sorry for the brutal honesty. Why be sorry about it? The Bible even says, write the vision and make it plain. Speak the truth. Cuts like a double-edged sword. There's nothing wrong with being honest. But Israel's approach to social media is PR malpractice. Your candidate should list all the toughest questions she gets on the campaign trail with detailed expert responses, add footnotes on her ITN website, and use social media to explain her platform on a daily basis. These responses become part of Ms. Israel's platform where her positions and values are explained. Like any political campaign, you need surrogates who can articulately promote this candidate's platform and identity. Right now, Israel's identity is being fabricated by those who hate her by a barrage of misinformation in the media, especially social media. Fake news becomes real news if there's not enough pushback. I made add, getting your information from one source makes you narrow-minded. You always want to be able to hear information coming from both sides. I can't stress that enough. When a candidate is hit with negative campaign ads, the effective response is for the candidate to personally respond to these attack ads. A candidate doesn't just rely on surrogates to get the truth out. One of Israel's biggest, most fundamental problems is typically your pushback is in a third-person voice. I do the third-person voice all the time as I attempt to defend the candidate, Israel. But I don't live in Israel, so I'm more like an attorney defending a client. Israel, the client, also needs to defend itself. I wish I had a first-person source of information I could reference where students and Israel skeptics could learn more about this client called Israel. You need a one-stop shopping resource where Israel's platform and beliefs can be spelled out. You need more Israeli surrogates speaking out on behalf of their candidate. At the moment, you have some wonderful non-Israeli surrogates speaking on behalf of a candidate that has not defined herself, especially when it comes to social media. I know it's common to think that social media, especially TikTok, is a waste of time. I thought similar a year ago, but TikTok algorithms have changed. I have increased my followers on TikTok from approximately 1 million to 6.6 million in the last year. We get billions with a B views on TikTok. My campus tour last fall and this spring have received approximately 5 billion impressions. That's something else. Elon Musk is a good friend to Israel, so X offers a great opportunity to make inroads on social media. Israel should not sit back and allow its enemies to define her. A recent Pew Research poll showed 53% of Americans now have an unfavorable view of Israel, up from 42% 3 years ago. U.S. support for Israel is precarious right now. A new media strategy is urgently needed. I understand social media as well as anyone in the world. From my vantage point, Israel has retreated from social media without a fight. How are you going to win over younger generations if you're starting out in retreat on social media? Younger generations use their TVs for Netflix, not the evening news. He didn't lie about that. Yeah. So I watch Netflix before I watch the news. So narratives for younger and even middle-aged people are fought now on social media. Prime Minister, stop this retreat. Get in the information war fight. The front lines of this information war are on social media. Other than a few guerrilla warfare operations, there's very little Israel-created content. I saw that Israel has increased its Hasbara budget by 20 times, which is great news. There's also hundreds of millions of dollars raised by private pro-Israel groups. Some of this money should be directed into creating pro-Israel, original, homegrown content. So he said in so many words, can you all please stop relying on us to push your narrative? Oh, man. Next, promote this content on Israel-operated social media channels and websites. Use some of these funds to start the Israel Truth Network. To sum up, you should perhaps consider reshaping your Hasbara department into more of a political campaign headquarters with campaign narrative experts. Hasbara could be the mothership hosting ITN, where the messaging campaign can be created and then distributed to all pro-Israel groups and thought leaders. Majority of staff in these efforts should be in their 20s and 30s. The older generation alone is not going to win the information war on social media. You need to fill the ranks with young people who grew up with cell phones and social media, not pay phones and TV news. Man, when the last time I seen a payphone? When the last time y'all seen a payphone? Can y'all say the last time y'all seen a payphone? What's going on? Get a clue? I'm just reading some. Hey, Bernard's expression. How you doing? The honey bun expression. Yeah, you heard that. So he just had concerns. A lot of people say the same questions. I know I do too. That's because we are the only ones in the world capable of dropping that large of an ordinance. Yeah. Number 6 is a good idea. Number 7 is just his opinion. Charlie did have some good points. Exactly. I mean, I don't agree with, funneling information and everybody just listens to that one source. But this is his letter he wrote. And I'm reading it because I'm proving Candace wrong. She couldn't even point out what the Israeli prime minister lied about. You're talking about lies by omission, Candace. What did he lie about? Even just reading this, if she doesn't say what Benjamin Netanyahu lied about specifically, then, she's going to go back and say, I said he, lying about the letter. I'm just saying he left out things when he spoke about it. Of course he did. It's an 7-page letter. Candace, this letter is like 7 pages long. So when you say lie by omission, what did he omit other than him reading the whole letter himself? To which he was not obligated to do. Just like the Macrons are not obligated to give you blood. This is the pattern of behavior with her. And then when the truth comes out, she flips it around and then, well, that's not what I said. I said this and not that. And it's going to be a whole thing. Oh, God. Once the candidate is defined with a platform backfilled with extensive details, then allow the political operatives to take that platform out into social media with an out-of-the-box approach like some of the earlier suggestions. I've seen your IDF spokesman defend Israel standing at a dimly lit podium. This looks like a scene out of the 1970s, like some old Walter Cronkite clips of the TV news. That's funny. That's funny. He said it comes straight out of the 70s. Walter Cronkite, rest in peace. You need to tear down your old ways of communicating and start over from scratch. Create a communications and social media platform that is wired to fight back with the same fierceness and determination as the IDF. Israel has many Americans and some well-known foreigners who defend Israel, which is great. But these are third-person voices. Mr. Prime Minister, you are an eloquent defender of Israel, but you don't post very often on social media. Many of your clips are in Hebrew only. Because that's their language they speak. It's the main language there. All right. But he has a point. He speaks English as well. He just needs to be able to do, if he's going to do a video, he's going to have to do 2, one in Hebrew and one in English. And, that solves that problem. Why don't you do more press conferences in Israel in English? Or he could just have a translator. It is what it is. You can just have a translator. Take on some of the tough questions I get bombarded with on college campuses. He say, you know what? Why don't you take these questions on? Because it's giving me a headache. You take on some of these questions. It's your turn. I can't take them all on. All right. I need you to step in and help answer some of these questions because I'm tired of it. All right. So where are all the Israeli surrogates? I can't remember the last time I saw an Israeli spokesperson on one of the evening Fox shows other than yourself. Israel needs more first-person voices to defend her. All caps, Exclamation point, because he's shouting. He's shouting. Israel needs more first-person voices to defend her. Y'all, this is all caps. How can Israel defend and define itself if you don't even have spokespersons out there fighting back every day? Do you have a press secretary like Carolyn Leavitt or defenders like Stephen Miller? Okay, whatever. I wouldn't use it as an example, but whatever. If not, I encourage you to go find them. You need more Israeli spokespersons who are effective speakers in the media and on social media, and perhaps bilingual. I'll add that on. That way you don't have to do, press conferences in English like that when the majority of the speakers over there in Israel speak Hebrew. So, but just get a spokesperson. Let's see here. I know you also have a serious deep state lawfare challenge. Serious deep state lawfare challenge? My team and I have been fighting the deep state every single day for many years. Maybe a revamped information war strategy can help with your internal fights as well? ? Israel has enormous capabilities, such as how you orchestrated your Beeper bomb operation. Perhaps Israel can use some of that same ingenuity to more effectively fight the information war in the media, especially on social media. Israel is the Silicon Valley of the Middle East. Israel has an abundance of brain power, technological expertise. The question is whether Israel has the willpower to step up its game in this information war. And to also, not ask the U.S. to send out missiles every single time. From my vantage point, the status quo is not working. Israel is getting crushed, all caps, crushed on social media, and you are losing younger generations of Americans, even among MAGA conservatives. In my opinion, you are losing the information war, which will eventually translate into less political and military support from America. Remember, we don't want to end up in endless wars where American lives are lost. All right? I think that needs to be highlighted. He did say that in this letter. We don't want to be dragged into an endless war where more American lives are lost. So he should have reiterated that. The Holy Land is so important to my life, and it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Feel free to contact me on my private number below if you would like to discuss this further. And they blurred it out because thank goodness. Charlie Kirk. That's it. So, I feel like at this point, that's the whole letter, you all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. As well as we read that letter. But I feel like at this point, Candace is just out here being a complete disservice to Charlie Kirk, his memory, what he stood for, his values, his pro-Israel stance, a letter. Brigitte Macron being born, a man, which is false. All these things that she continues to lie and contort the truth about. And it's not necessary. At the end of the day, Charlie Kirk's death was not a military hit. His stance on Israel did not change, but he had fair questions and criticism that most people have. Show some support to the U.S. when we have a hurricane or a, earthquake or something that happens over here and we need support, or flooding. Don't sit here and rely on us to do the heavy lifting and the heavy carry. All valid points. And of course, she never did articulate what so-called lie of omission, the Israeli prime minister made or didn't, whatever he said or did not say, that would be considered a lie. She never pointed that out. So I'm sure her response to this is going to be, I never said he lied about something specific. I just said he did not, release the full letter. So I was right about that. Now he's done that. I guarantee you all that's what she's going to say. I guarantee you all. She's going to sit down and say, oh, well, see, I told you all he wasn't telling the whole truth. He didn't release the full letter. She's never going to address the actual lie of whatever it is. And she's not presenting a shred of evidence to show that, it was some military hit with Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, not one single shred of evidence. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I just had to get this off my chest. because it's just time out for this nonsense, and people need to challenge Candace Owens more. She's getting a lot of pushback, but it needs to be overwhelming. And I think once she starts going through this case in court with the Macrons, and they're going to play that video, Candace, and they're going to show this is a pattern of behavior for you. You make up theories and you give your opinions that could be proven to be false. And somehow you don't understand what defamation is. And at some point, you're going to give this Israeli prime minister more than enough evidence to sue you for defamation as well if you keep going at this rate. There's only so much people are going to take. And the Macrons have already decided they've had enough. And where is Erica Kirk in all of this? Why hasn't she told Candace to shut up? She said that's the only person to get her to shut up. Why isn't Erica Kirk telling her to shut up? There's a thought. So obviously they're not very close and they don't talk. If Erica Kirk is not saying anything, you think they would. But thank you guys so much. We're in an hour and 40 minutes. Make sure you guys check out the description of the video for our partnership with Dr. Squatch, selling soap, deodorant, toiletries, all those things. Get some products from Dr. Squatch and send it to Umar and tell him to take a shower. All right. Thank you all so much once again for tuning in, and I appreciate all of you guys' support on this. And yes, we're just keeping it, laid back, and I'm going to push out some more videos tonight as well. So look out for that. And until the next one, tomorrow we will be interviewing writer Albert Lanier at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had to push it back from today. So we're going to be doing that interview tomorrow. Thursday, we'll be checking out a watch party on Nature Boy. But in the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves and each other. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.